what kind of mistakes are people making in their Instagram bio that they could fix maybe as soon as this show is over?
Honestly, the biggest one is leaving the bio completely blank. Probably not a lot of enterprise level businesses doing that, but for sure a lot of small businesses not putting their name, not putting their address, not putting their contact info, like just leaving it blank with just their name. That's the biggest one I see all the time.
That seems like such a simple thing. I mean, any rationalization for why? It's right there. It's pretty easy to do, right?
People are lazy. People don't think about it. People don't realize the impact. People are busy working in their business, not on their business. I'm sure there's 1,000 reasons. So
we know on Instagram, image is king, but is it still kind of food porn, the product, and the food? Or is it more about the chef? Is it more about the scene and the interior in the restaurant? What do you find is resonating most with your audiences?
Well, what happens with my audience and what happens with the broader food audience is probably not the same. What I would tell somebody who's doing marketing for a food brand, whether that's like a CPG or, a restaurant or whatever, is if you just pick like one content type, you're going to fail. So like if I follow a pizza restaurant and they only share photos of pizza, then you're competing against other photos of pizza. But if you're posting what the actual consumer experience is like, you're competing on your uniqueness, or you're creating content on your uniqueness. And so, if I have 6 pizzas accounts that I could follow in my town, the one that's the most expressive with their experience through their content is going to be the one that I get most excited about, just like anybody else. And so I would tell anybody that's working on Instagram to understand what's the unique message that you convey, the unique experience that you provide, and then convey that through photos.
Is there any mistake that's consistent with both small kind of mom and pop type stores that the big guys and gals are making as well?
That is an awesome question. And there are 2 mistakes. And the one is prioritizing social media over other pieces of digital marketing. Facebook and Instagram and Twitter are names that like but my grandmother knows those. So like they seem like the channel should be using. And I believe that's a mistake. The bigger mistake that they make is not updating basically their listings and ratings and reviews on all the sites where they live. So Google, Yahoo, Bing, Yelp, Foursquare, TripAdvisor, OpenTable, whatever is relative to your business and industry. If you're not in control of the information on those sites, your name, address, phone number, hours of operation, replying to customers through, your ratings and reviews, all customers experience all of that before typically they see your Instagram or your Facebook or Twitter, I guess, unless you're angry at your airline. But like prioritizing putting great content out there is a mistake if people can't even find your business when they're looking in Google Maps. Prioritizing getting that great looking offer you're putting on Facebook over replying to customers who are talking about you on Yelp is a mistake.
If you can make 10 things great, I'd rather have 10 great things than 75 mediocre things.
Yeah, and I think if you look at a town like a New York City or Chicago or San Fran, like people get to work and they're busy. And if they work in a large building, for them to go out to lunch, it's like 10 minutes just to leave the building, 10 minutes to get to a destination. Like nobody's got the time. And the option is now to use delivery. And with the skyrocketing costs of getting something delivered to you with fees and upcharges and tips and taxes and all that stuff, grab and go presents an option where you're like, oh, I can order 3 or 4 meals at once, put them in the office fridge, run and get them. I have 3 or 4 or 5 great meals. I've planned, like it's almost meal planning from, a restaurant delivery space. I think you're going to see a lot more of that.
That actually makes me think of something, Rev, I do want to ask you about, you being a food expert. And that is, of course, delivery. Delivery is not going away. Food delivery, high margin, high profitability. You've got some leisure dining restaurants that are making 30-40% of their revenue out the side door with the Uber Eats and the Grubhubs and the like. Is that sustainable? And number 2, is that actually going to have an impact on menus? And 3, you hear these stories of these commissaries in New York where one address may have 5, 6, 7, 8 restaurants that exist only for delivery and nothing else. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I mean, you see, I think there's one around here called like My Belly's Playlist, which is like the most, Instagram Instagrammable, millennial based name for restaurant I've ever heard. But yeah, they don't exist, but they have like 5 addresses. How's that possible? It's for sure like one of these kitchens where they're doing exactly that. I don't know how well that's going to work so far out in the burbs, but for sure in an urban environment like this or Chicago, it makes sense, right? It's a much more scalable business model. You don't have to maintain the customers, whatever the cost of customer service is that walk through your door. You only have to maintain the delivery. You can also outsource the delivery. It's a great way to scale that business. So I think you're going to see more of it. And I think it's going to create more competition. And for businesses that have traditionally relied on people walking through their door and having that experience, it's going to be hard for them to compete because they aren't able to iterate or change as quickly as somebody who doesn't have to worry about the customer service side of the serving business.